Hey, everybody. Good morning, and happy Thursday. I am so excited for today's training. I have my business coach, and now I'm calling her a dear friend of mine, Rachel Ngom, here with you guys today. And I'm so excited to share her with all of you because Rachel has come into my life over the last couple of years. First is just kind of like an influencer in my business. And now we've got more of a working relationship, and she's really helped me understand how to harness the power of Pinterest for my business. And you guys, I have an online business, but I serve a lot of local small businesses, and that's why all of you are here in this group, right? And she's got some incredible wisdom to share with everybody about how even local small businesses can use the online platform of Pinterest. And so a little bit of background on Rachel. You guys, she went basically from $400 negative in her bank account to creating an over six-figure online business through everything that she learned with Pinterest marketing. She's going to talk to you probably about some really crazy stats and growth that she's seen using Pinterest. And I'm sure she'll even share some stories of people that she's known to just completely blow up their business using Pinterest marketing. So Rachel, if you will, introduce yourself and tell us how you got started using Pinterest marketing. And thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. So, I got started with Pinterest marketing a couple years ago. I was in network marketing, and at the time, I was using Facebook and Instagram to grow that business. And it was really easy at the time to just post on Facebook and see a bunch of comments and make sales. But the logarithm changed back in like 2013, and I was scrambling. I had to figure something else out. And so, basically, started over with Pinterest and blogging, and I didn't have a strategy or anything behind it. It was more, all right, let's just figure this out. And so I just tested and tried all kinds of stuff. And I noticed that my traffic started increasing. And I checked my Google Analytics. I'm like, where are these people coming from? Is Facebook working again? Like, what's happening? And I saw I had 34,000 people every month coming to my blog from Pinterest. And I was just like, mind blown. So in that business, I built my email list to over 20,000 subscribers for free using Pinterest.
Wow.
And I knew I wanted to do something else. I love teaching social media. And so it was around August of 2017 that I decided to make a huge pivot and start a new business where I was teaching entrepreneurs how to use Pinterest to get some new leads and sales into their business. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
That's so crazy. You said 20,000 people for free onto your
Yeah.
email list.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Okay, so that I think is something that kind of like a lot of like small, like local small businesses minds, because to get 20,000 like leads essentially to a local brick and mortar business, even for an online business in a short amount of time for free, it's kind of like, how? Like, so for you, when you say it was for free, could you maybe break down just a little bit of what that looks like? Because it's not just like you do it once, right? And you just put one thing out there. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how you built up to that?
So, creating content that's adding
Mhm.
value to my ideal client. And so, people on Pinterest are searching for something really specific, and you want to be that person that shows up when they're searching for it. So, Pinterest is a search engine, right? And so, if they're searching for, I'll give the example, intermittent fasting for women, it's something really specific that someone's searching for. If that's my ideal client and that's what they're searching for, I want to be the person that shows up. So, I create content, how to do intermittent fasting for women. So, they come to that blog post, they learn about how to do intermittent fasting, and then I have a related freebie that I'm mentioning within that blog post. And I also have a pop up. There's several places like call to actions of what their next step is going to be so they can keep learning from me. And so that's pretty much how it works. They're searching for something specific. You have a related freebie, everything is related to that specific topic.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I know one of the questions that I get asked because I do a lot of like marketing strategy with my clients is Pinterest a social media platform? And you just said it, but can you explain the difference between like Pinterest being social media platform and a search engine? Because that's a big confusing topic.
Sometimes they try to be a social media platform, and I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like, stay in your lane. Stop coming up with like communities, and now they have story pins and like all kinds of stuff.
They
Um,
do?
yes, so like we're testing them out, and our impressions are insane, but there's no way to click from someone's story pin to go to their website
Oh
currently.
no.
So it's just like Okay, this is cool, but what's the purpose? The main reason you would want to use it is because it is a search engine. And
Okay.
so think of it kind of like a visual Google, right? And that's the cool thing too about Pinterest is pins show up in Google Images. So they have a really great relationship too. So just you want to get in the head of your ideal client, think what are they searching for? And then how could I be that person that's showing up? And you want to get specific with those search terms. So in my fitness business, I wouldn't just use weight loss, right? It would be, again, I use that specific search term of intermittent fasting for women, or how to start keto for beginners, like something really
Mhm.
like a specific phrase that they're searching for. And that'll give you a much greater chance of showing up at the top of Pinterest.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's really helpful. For local small businesses, what would you say are a few tips that they could do to get started? Because even some of even just like from my own experience, and I obviously got introduced to you through your podcast,
Mhm.
and then I think I did your free master class, and then I think I did creating killer content, and then I actually took I'm an Activate student with you, so like my journey of learning with you has been extremely helpful, but there's always that kind of like first step that everyone needs
Yeah.
to take as a local small business. Can you maybe describe what that first couple of steps would look like for a small business?
To get started on Pinterest.
Yeah, because I
So,
think it's
mhm.
like Pinterest is like Pinterest, but isn't there something else you need to be doing? Like you said, creating content. So does that mean like small businesses need to start a blog? Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? Okay, talk about that maybe a little bit.
So it doesn't mean they necessarily have to be a writer, but they should creating some form of value added content. And so it
Mhm.
could be they're doing a Facebook Live video and then they take
Mm,
this video, embed it onto their blog, and then transcribe it or have show notes. Same thing goes for a
yeah.
podcast or YouTube or anything like that. So you need to create some form of content. That's what's really going to set you apart from all the other businesses. Because if someone's searching for something specific, like I'll give you an example actually. I was searching for fascial massage in the Chicagoland area. Okay, so
Okay.
it's something really specific,
Yeah.
and right? And so someone actually popped up and she had a blog post written about why she's doing fascial massages and like how she got started on that journey. And guess who I chose to work
Wow.
with? It was with her because I immediately felt that connection with her. So create some form of content that's related to whatever it is that your business is that's going to
Mhm.
add value to your ideal client. So when they read it, they're like, oh, this is great. And they'll have that connection and want to learn more about working with you as opposed to Joe Schmo next door who's not creating any content.
So are you saying that you searched for something on Pinterest that was more geographically targeted and you found someone geographically who matched that because they were blogging? So a small business can target people geographically?
Yes, if you're using the right
Ooh.
keywords. And I was actually
Okay.
searching for her on Google, but the same thing works for Pinterest. And if I were searching on Google Images, the pins would show up. So
Mm.
if you're using, think about your ideal client. Give me a business example.
Let's use an HVAC company, so heating and air conditioning company in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay, so you might just search HVAC Little Rock, right?
Mhm.
So think about the ideal client, what they'd actually be searching for. And you want to use those search terms in your pin description. So you're creating content about how to choose an HVAC company in Little Rock,
Yep.
Arkansas, or maybe top 3 HVAC companies in Little Rock, Arkansas, something like that. And so
Yep.
you want your pin descriptions to use Little Rock, Arkansas in HVAC company. You can create board titles. And so what I would do as a local business, I would create like think about how you could become a local resource for different things. So
Mhm.
you could even create boards that are like best restaurants in Little Rock, Arkansas, and see how you can use Pinterest to actually collaborate with other local small businesses.
Oh,
Because
okay.
yeah, because they'll be likely like if you create content on top 5 restaurants in Little Rock, Arkansas, or something like that, and you tag the different business owners and share it with them, they'll be more likely to share that article. So it's kind of like a win-win, and then people are bringing it's giving you people too.
So it's like I love that. Okay, because if you think about it, what are local small businesses like in their heart of hearts they're trying
Mhm.
to do is serve their local community
Yep.
and be a face in the community,
Yep.
not just an industry, leader or expert in their community, but they also like they have a local business because that's their home.
Mhm.
So I love that because sometimes, it's like, this is just as a consultant for 7 years in this industry, working with local small businesses. So everyone that's listening, when I say local small business, it's any business that serves their geographical area. They might do some online business or maybe like leads come in, but like, I'm talking, you would go to the phone book, okay,
Mhm.
to find this type of business. And for me personally, like I love working with small businesses that are in metros that are under 1 million people. I kind of have like a sweet spot of like 100,000 to 500,000 because
Mhm.
there's also a certain like mentality that I can connect with in that type of like town. But a lot of times, small businesses are like, so I have to do extra work. You know what I mean? And it's like, what is that purpose? Like, why? I'm an HVAC company. Why should I write about restaurants? And when it comes down to it, would you agree that the reader, the people that are looking for that information online, or just they're wanting to connect with you, like they want to know that you're a person too as a business
Yes.
owner. And it's like that person to person connection because okay, here's the question I'll ask you. Do you agree that today's marketing is more about relationships than it is actually trying to make a sale? Can you talk about
Yes.
that?
You have to humanize your company. And that's why people are going to choose to work with you as opposed to the company that's just like a logo, right? So bring a face to the business. Why did you choose to work with me and join Activate? I'll ask you that.
Because you were a college volleyball player that left college due to an injury. She became an entrepreneur by happenstance. All the things that are me.
Exactly. It's because you connected with me as a person and we built that
Yes,
relationship through the content that I was just like adding in
exactly.
little parts of my personality, my story, my journey, and you connected with that. And so as a local small business, you need to do the same thing and think about what makes you different, what makes you unique, who are the people behind the business? Because people want to connect with you and not just the logo.
Yes. Okay. So, marketing and branding isn't just about pretty colors and logos.
No,
Got
no,
it.
no, no. It's about the story. People wanna know what the story is. Like, how did you get started in business? Like
Hmm.
who are the founders? What are they like? It's not I always look at like the about me tab, and if it's just about like the company, I'm kind of like, "Oh, I wanted to learn more about like the juice. Like what's the
Yeah.
real story behind why you got started?"
I love that. Okay, so maybe that for somebody who's they haven't written a blog before, maybe that topic right there, like tell your company story. Like
Mhm.
maybe that's a good first article that they could write. What do you
Totally.
think about that? And maybe pinning it. Okay, so kind of a technical question because this is going to come up. How do you make a pin? Do you like are you like hiring that out? Like, I mean, make it as simple as possible, obviously, but like, how do you make a pin? Because that's a legitimate question that people ask.
We use canva.com, which is free. Okay.
Love Canva.
They have a Pinterest template. So you click
Yes.
Pinterest template, and then all you got to do is select the one that you want to do, and then you just add in your brand colors. And it's like seriously that simple. So, like
Hmm.
back in the day, I remember having to use like PicMonkey and then having to select the correct dimensions. Like it's so much easier now than it used to be. So, literally,
Mm.
you could just, and then when you want to create other pins, you just duplicate it. So then you automatically have your brand colors and fonts and everything, and it's so simple. Yes, you could definitely outsource this to somebody for
Hmm.
very cheaply that can create graphics for you. But if you're doing everything yourself, Canva, easy peasy.
Yeah, I'm so here inside of this group, I really try to empower people to do as much as they can on their own when it comes to stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, that skill needs to, like, this is just my philosophy. If you know how something is done, then you're actually going to be able to find somebody to outsource it to later, and you're going to have a better way of managing that individual. So you be empowered with that knowledge first, if you
Yes,
can, or someone on in your business team, right? So that you have ownership of it, and then you're actually project milling that out instead of just like, I don't know what to do. So, and again, for my target audience, for the people that I love to serve the most, they have the capacity to learn that skill set. And then
mhm,
eventually, as they grow, if they need to piece it out, then they can piece it out, right?
totally. Yeah, I mean, I know and understand Facebook ads, and that helps me be able to help our person who's running our Facebook ads. And I was doing
Hmm.
it in the beginning when I first started. Do I still manage our Facebook ads? No, but I can at least look back there to see, like, are these good numbers? Like, is she doing what I want? Like, are we performing to our best ability? If not, we need to hire someone else, right? But if
Hmm.
I didn't know what to look for and I didn't understand Facebook ads, then I wouldn't know, right?
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so then we talked about how Pinterest is not a social media platform. It is definitely more of a search engine. So it's a different arm in your digital marketing strategy as a local small business.
Yes.
But how can you leverage what you're doing on Pinterest on social media? Do you have any tips on that? Like, um, isn't there a way to like share social media posts to your Pinterest as a local small business? Because a lot of my clients are people that are here, they do a lot of social media content. So repurposing content, maybe that's what I'm asking.
Yes, you could totally repurpose your content. So you could set up you can use a program like Zapier where like every time you
Mm,
post on Facebook or you post on Twitter, you post on Instagram, it automatically goes to a specific board on Pinterest. The thing about that though is like the dimensions are different. So like an Instagram is a square post and the pins that perform better are typically like the longer, skinnier pins. So like it's a little bit harder, but you could take that content and maybe create a pin for it. So just
yeah,
as you're creating the Instagram, like create like a pin, and so it looks the same, but it's just a different dimension. And then you could take
yeah.
that same content and just repurpose it. But you could easily set up a Zapier. So we have it set up where like every time I pin, it tweets out our pin. So there's
Awesome.
so many, yeah, there's so many different things that you could use to repurpose that content. I don't love necessarily sending people from Pinterest to like Instagram or Twitter or anything else because they're going to get distracted and you worked
Mm,
hard to create that content. I love sending them to a blog where you control their experience and you
mhm.
can control getting them on your email list. So if you
Yeah.
send that person to like a YouTube video, they're going to get lost in YouTube land and forget about you.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go a little rogue. So it's a little bit outside of Pinterest, but you talk about an email list.
Mhm.
So you create content, you create a pin, and someone clicks on the pin, they go read your blog,
Mhm.
and there's some type of either pop up or something for them to get on the email list, and it's a
Yep.
free. Why would a local small business want to grow their email list, in your opinion?
Every business needs an email list. Like your business is your email list. Like if so as a local small business, if you're just counting on people coming into your door whenever you want to serve them, then what happens when coronavirus comes and they can't come to your door anymore? Like how are you going to stay in contact with them or let them know about new offers or promotions or anything like that? Like you have to have an email list where you're able to connect with your customers and just stay in contact with them and let them know what's happening in your business and how can they work with you in the future.
Yes. So, like, I worked for my dad's roofing company back in like, I don't know, 2009, 2009. Wow, I can't even say 2010. It was that long ago that it's 2009, 2010. It's a long time ago. Anyways, and I did business development for him. And the only people, so I had like a spreadsheet of like all of our existing customers. Again, this is residential roofing, but all
Mhm.
of their existing customers. And then a second list of every house that was canvassed, where like a door knocker was put on the door or whatever. Those were more what you would consider today in the email marketing world. Like that was my email list because I had their address and I had their first and last name. So as a local business, like when you're building your email list, it's not, they may not yet be leads necessarily, but you have the ability to communicate with them, you know how to reach them. And I remember in my digital marketing consulting days, a lot of small businesses would say, well, I don't like emails, like I just throw them away, like, you know. But here's the thing that I think you taught me was is that um and that I've just learned over the years, like if I sign up for someone's email list, then I'm expecting to get something back. Like,
Yeah.
so if someone signs up for your local small business newsletter, or they get a coupon from you because maybe that's what you're offering as the thing to bring them onto your list, like they're doing that because they want you to be in their inbox and they've
Yeah.
invited you.
Yep.
And then from there, what you've taught me is it's a matter of how do you nurture that relationship through an email marketing strategy, which keeps them coming back for more. Would you
Yep.
agree with that for local small businesses?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you want to get them on your email list. which you own and you can control, and then you want to stay in contact with them. So you don't want it to be like, I always say, you don't want it to be like wham bam thank you ma'am, where you're just like contacting them for a booty call and when you want to sell something. So you
Right.
want to nurture that relationship, and you have, maybe you can set this up where it's automated, where you have a series of emails, like 3, 5, 7 emails that are going out that are, introducing you as the person behind the company as well, to them, so they can get to know you. And then you're maybe sharing your value added content and how they can work with you in different promotions or different offers. So there's a lot of things you can do with that email nurture sequence, but you want to make sure you have that in place.
Yeah.
And it's not just you're sending emails out when you want to sell.
Yeah. So I like, one of the biggest reasons, other than wanting to get direct access to your brain, for me joining Activate was I'm such a systems minded person that like I'm like, if it's working, okay, it's like, look at franchise businesses that are out there, right? Take a McDonald's, take a Jiffy Lube, take a Marriott hotel chain. Their franchise businesses work because there's a system in place, and someone that is business minded is like, okay, I would like to get access to that system because I know in X amount of years it's going to provide a return on investment, right?
Yep.
So I wanted access to your knowledge, your system, with creating everything that we've kind of talked about today. Like, that's why I invested in at least the creating killer content. And then it was like big jump into one-on-one coaching, group coaching with you inside of Activate, because these things, like, as being an Activate student, like, I've seen you help local small businesses and women in that group grow, not just online and through these strategies, but boots on the ground efforts as well, because it really does all play together. And that's something that I wanted to get across to everybody listening today and on the replay in the future, is like, your search engine optimization strategy, your social media strategy, your email strategy, what you're doing in traditional media strategy, like, they're not all separate entities. And it's really important to blend those together. And I think Pinterest is a really key element in that, because it can kind of cross all bounds. You know what I mean? I think local small businesses are missing the mark if they're not on Pinterest.
Totally. Most of them are not. And so imagine how you'll be able to just completely dominate your competition if you actually take this little extra step and start.
Yeah, creating content, using keywords for geographical areas. Like, I'm so excited. Okay, so I know that you've got something to share with everybody. I believe that you've got a free cheat sheet. Do you want to tell people real quickly what's inside of that and how they can stay connected with you?
Yeah, so I put together 10 smart strategies that are going to help you double your leads and sales from Pinterest. You can get that by just going to pinwithrachel.com and get started there.
Awesome. And you guys, just a little disclaimer, like, everything she puts out is absolute gold. Okay. Like, the email that I got today about, like, are you doing this in your business? Maybe you shouldn't be, like, all of that stuff. Like, get access to that. Make sure that you do get on her email list, because everything that comes out is thoroughly thought through. Is this going to add value to her audience? Like, I've had tremendous gains in my business from what I've learned from her. So make sure that you get connected with her. And other than that, Rachel, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with our group. I know we're going to get some awesome feedback, and thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, everybody.